Hi, I'm Bob Allison, WB1GCM ARL Test Engineer. Let's go into detail with the Wavenode WN2D. Well, here's the hardware part. This unit takes up to 4 sensors at a time. This is what the sensors look like. This is the UHF-1, 120 to 470 megahertz. This has Type N connectors on it. The HF sensors have UHF connectors. The top row of LEDs is from 0 to 100%. 100% can be whatever power you want it to be. 5 watts for a handy-talkie or 100 watts for your typical HF rig. Let's key the key on the guest transmitter, and we have 100%, and that means 100 watts. My dummy load is a 1-to-1 SWR, I hope, and yes it is, 1-to-1. And the backlit LCD display shows your power here, 104 watts. Peak power roughly about the same for average power, and of course your SWR. Now if I do something silly like change loads accidentally, wrong antenna, we have danger, we have high SWR here. The first red segment lights up at a 2-to-1 SWR. Okay, we can look at different sensors, sensor 3, sensor 4, and we can look at 2 sensors at once, useful for linear amplifier monitoring, input and output. You'll need 2 sensors though. We'll cycle through to channel 3 and channel 4, and to sensor 1, which I have set up for a handy-talkie. 100% is 5 watts, and there it goes. Very good, and we'll let go. Now let's take a look at the back. Alright, here's the back. You have the 4 inputs of your sensors here. Relay contacts. If you'd like to shut your amplifier off, if you have an SWR alarm, you can do that with this box. So that prevents damage if your SWR on your antenna gets high and you don't want to damage your amplifier. Your power input, wall wart is supplied with this unit. Input and outputs here, we have inputs. You can put DC voltages from 0 to 20 volts into this box and use a scaler, and you can monitor various voltages in your ham shack. Outputs, you have logic outputs as well on this plug right here. And here's the software. I've labeled it with my call sign. I'm using 2 sensors out of the 4, and 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and 10 meters, HF sensor. As I key the transmitter on 10 meters, let's see what it looks like. Here's the graph showing 100 watts. SWR is a nice little pie chart with the red sliver representing the SWR. Let's see what happens when I change loads, which will give me a higher SWR. Oh, there we go. Of course, the transmitter has rolled back its power, protecting itself, so it shows a lower power output, but this is what the SWR indication looks like here. We can configure what full scale is by going into the configuration file editor and click on that, and right over here we can have sensor 1 read 5 watts full scale for my handy-talkie, or 100 watts for sensor number 2 for HF. I can label what each sensor is titled, and I assign which sensor that I'm using here, my call sign, etc. A lot of details here for the auxiliary pages for remote sensoring. Voltages could come into the back of the unit, and you can monitor DC voltages here. So let's save all that and close it out, and I'll show you a few other interesting features. One is the mini panel. Now, many of you have other software running simultaneously while you're operating or contesting, and you don't want this gigantic thing taking up all this real estate on your screen. Well, we can hide this big picture over here by hitting the hide button, and now you have just this little device down here which will show you your power. I can key the transmitter, and there we go. Oops, I'm still on that bad load. Let's go back over to the right load, and here we have 404 watts with the SWR. You could have software programs running here, logging programs, anything else you want, internet, but have this little sliver over here taking up just a little bit of space. Let's go back to showing the main screen, and we're back. We also have a horizontal bar graph if you want to use this one instead, or you could go with the vertical bar graph. And if I key it up, and there's your power meter over here. Gives you a variety of options. And also some nice options that I see here are we have a scope function spectrum display, a tone generator. Oh, I like this. Here's a two-tone generator. How handy is that? It'll do that for a few seconds and stop, or I could click on continuous and let it run. I can take the sound card output of my PC and feed it into the microphone jack, and I'll have a two-tone generator, and I can look at things like transmitted two-tone IMD. Now, as a test engineer, that's handy. And that's the Wavenode WN2D Power Meter review. I hope you've enjoyed it in digital QST. I'm Bob Allison, WB1 GCM, ARRL Test Engineer.